The genesis of Sriracha hot sauce becoming the condiment staple it is today can be traced back to 1975 and an unassuming Vietnamese refugee called David Tran, the founder and current CEO of Huy Fong Foods. Following the Vietnam War, Tran, who is a major in the South Vietnamese army and otherwise made his living making sauces, fled Vietnam with his family in December of 1978 along with 3,317 other refugees aboard a Taiwanese freighter called the Huey Fong, meaning gathering prosperity, a name he'd later Anglicize and use for the name of his massive, spicy empire. Like many successful businessmen, Tran made his fortune by noticing a consumer demand that was going unfulfilled and filling it. In this case, it all started with a demand for hot sauce among the many Southeast Asian immigrants in LA, with Tran creating pepper satay that he literally made in a bucket, bottled in a recycled baby food jars, and sold first via bicycle and later out of a blue Chevy van. Tran noted, "I started the business with my eyes closed. There was no expectations at all. My American dream was never to become a billionaire. We started this because we like fresh, spicy chili sauce." Having a modicum of success in the industry, he began experimenting with local ingredients, eventually creating a slight variation of the Thai recipe he liked that used, to quote, hybrid jalapeno peppers, vinegar, sugar, salt, and garlic. He named this version of this sauce Sriracha after the coastal town Sriracha in Thailand, where the base recipe he tweaked originated. Recipe perfected, he began selling his Sriracha sauce alongside his pepper satay to quite literally put his stamp on his sauces like he had previously done in Vietnam. Tran attached a label with a rooster on every bottle of the sauce he sold. According to the man himself, he chose a rooster as the symbol for his company because the year he was born, 1945, was the year of the rooster according to the Vietnamese zodiac. As for who designed the now famous logo, not even Tran knows, and he credits the original drawing, which he has long since lost, to an unnamed Vietnamese street artist he met in the 1970s. As Tran quipped, "I never thought that I'd be successful, so I didn't keep any of my souvenirs." And speaking of branding and failing to plan for success, while the exact rooster logo cannot be copied by other companies legally, though many a company makes exceptionally similar bottles and logos for their Sriracha to trick people into thinking it's Huey Fong, Tran didn't bother trademarking the name Sriracha so any company can call their product that without fear of being sued. Given how popular the sauce has become, such copying is now common practice, especially in recent years when the company has had a bit of a supply issue, making it occasionally difficult to acquire. For instance, even the likes of Taco Bell has jumped on the Sriracha knockoff train. The noted fast food chain chose to come up with their own version of the sauce rather than just use the original Sriracha, despite in some of their ads showing the Huey Fong Sriracha bottle design and referring to their Sriracha as the rooster sauce. In their case, their decision not to use Tran's sauce is somewhat inexplicable, as Huey Fong hasn't increased the wholesale price of Sriracha since Tran originally made it in the 1970s, meaning it's relatively cheap, and Tran states he doesn't charge royalties to use his sauce in this way. Because of this, many restaurant chains just go with the original rather than the many knockoffs or making their own. Again, that is until recent years when shortages have necessitated branching out. Of the Taco Bell situation, Tran laments, "For us, it's a disappointment if people think it's our product." Nevertheless, he states he doesn't regret not trademarking the name, noting that it's basically free advertising when major companies like Taco Bell do this. Tran states, "We have lawyers come in and say, 'I can represent you,' and sue, and I say, 'No, let them do it.'" He also believes his company still makes the best Sriracha, for reasons we'll get into shortly, so customers will eventually buy his product anyway, in his opinion. Back to the hot sauce. During the early 1980s, Tran was still selling his sauce from the back of his aforementioned van that he had personally hand-painted a large version of his rooster logo on, but in 1980, his budding sauce empire had grown to require a 5,000 square foot, about a 460 square meter, warehouse which he rented in LA's Chinatown. In the few decades since, the company has expanded to a sprawling facility in Irwindale comprising of a massive 650,000 square feet, about 60,000 square meter building. The location of this facility is critical as, unlike pretty much every other major hot sauce maker on the planet, Tran has always insisted that his hot sauce be made using fresh rather than dried chilies. To this end, all chilies used to create Huey Fong Sriracha hot sauce are processed within a day of being picked. Because of this, they only make new vats of the sauce at a certain time of year, and Tran must source his chilies from local farms, all of which seem to have contributed to the supply shortages at times. Jean reports his choice of using local product, including buying the other ingredients like salt, sugar, and vinegar from US companies, is not just because of the freshness, but it is to pay back the United States for being the only country that would grant him asylum when he was fleeing Vietnam. That's not to say they only produce Sriracha in small quantities. With an initial contract of using 50 acres of the Underwood family farms to grow chili peppers, today that number of acres of farmland needed has swelled to a whopping 1,700 acres, about 2.7 square miles or 7 square kilometers of land, resulting in well over 100 million pounds, about 45 million kilograms of chilies harvested over a 10-week period in which they make their entire year's supply of Sriracha. The result of all of this is an estimated $100 million per year in revenue for Huey Fong. Beyond not trademarking the name of his flagship product, never advertising nor employing a sales department, and never once raising the wholesale price of Sriracha, a claim we have to take his word on because he's never publicly revealed what exactly he charges there, Jean also bucks the normal trend in business when demand outstrips supply, as it has pretty much since the beginning for Sriracha. Instead of raising prices, he insists his distributors never charge more than $7.99 for a bottle of his sauce, even in the largest sizes. This is to keep in line with Huey Fong Foods' motto of a rich man's sauce at a poor man's price. On top of this, Jean is famous for turning down very lucrative business deals in connection with his sauces, as well as several attempts by major food manufacturers to outright buy Huey Fong Foods for no doubt obscene amounts of money. When once asked why he was seemingly so against maximizing profits on his product, a frustrated Jean reiterated that his only goal is to sell hot sauce to those who want it, and that businesses that approach him, to quote, are never interested in the product, only in the profits. Thus, given they don't really care about the product itself in his estimation, he has no interest in making business deals with them regardless of how much money it might make him. Again, as he so poignantly noted, his simple dream was never to become a billionaire, but rather, to quote, to make enough fresh chili sauce so that everyone who wants Huey Fong can have it. Nothing more. A bottle of Sriracha in everyone's hands is my only goal. On another note, despite Jean's evident reluctance to maximize the revenue potential of Sriracha and near total refusal to engage with the public unless it's absolutely necessary, he rather adorably sets aside time each day to read emails from fans of the brand and scans social media for mentions of his sauce. The 78-year-old Jean reportedly especially enjoys reading about unique ways customers use his product.